YouTube, how you doing? Delfino here, and like always, it's time for the early Season 7 tier list for Marvel Rivals. Now again, like I said, this is a super early tier list, so a lot of things can change in the next few days or coming weeks or so on, but this is what I've been seeing from watching some of my friends play, watching some pro players play, and just getting a general gist of what the meta is shaping out to be with the new character White Fox. Now, something you have to keep in mind is that tier list is based on a couple things. First, high level play. The second is triple bans, recent buffs and nerfs, and most importantly, how the meta is going to evolve around picks like Elsa and White Fox. But without further ado, let's dive straight in.
So kicking things off with our first tank on the list is going to be Captain America. Now Captain America in Season 6.5 I think is falling off a little bit. He is not as seen as he used to be in higher elo. I think he sits somewhere around the C tier category. I think there's just other vanguards that does his job a lot better. Think about characters like Angela. You can even throw Rogue or Thor into the mix if you want to as well. But I think he's actually going to be sitting around the C tier. Yes, he can get a lot of value in different situations, but I think the meta and just what we're seeing constantly is just not the best suit for him. So I think he's going to be sitting around the B tier. Moving on to Doctor Strange. Another shield tank. He is nowhere near as strong as characters like Magneto, Emma, Angela. Those three tanks, even Groot, are probably going to be the most dominant. And I think we're looking at a B tier placement of Doctor Strange currently. Following that, we come to Groot. I think Groot is best. If you don't know what BIS is, it's best in slot for the tank role currently. You could argue that Magneto also fits that role, but I think there's just so many combos with Groot in the game now that it's just really hard to deny. With the rise of Namor, you have the Groot Knight, which is super popular. You also have things like Namor plus Groot, and pretty much Groot ult is a pretty big win condition, a pretty big team fight change or shift. So I think BIS is a pretty good and decent spot. Following that, we come to Hulk. Hulk, again, I think is a character is super strong and useful in the hands of a very talented player or a person that knows a lot about the game. But I think just in general, just not fitting the best right now, especially with characters like Angela, like Phoenix, like Winter Soldier, all these characters that are just super annoying that pump out a ton of damage. I think we're still sitting around the D category. Moving on to Magneto, I think Magneto's S. It's undeniable that this character has been good for so long, and it just seems like he's not going to be changing anytime soon. Always strong. I don't think they would ever nerf him because he's a necessary evil in the game, essentially, but if they do nerf him, I would like to see his damage a little bit tweaked, but that's just coming from my perspective. Then we have Penny Parker. Now, Penny Parker's an interesting one. Like, in the hands of a good character, a good player, she is definitely like on the more skillful side in terms of like actually knowing how to position as Penny. But I think with Phoenix being just like one of the top duelists and Elsa, it's just really hard for her to get any value. And triple strategist makes her life a little bit harder. So I think we're sitting D tier, or D tier, C tier, which I think is fine. Moving on to Thor. Thor is definitely a little bit better in terms of previous seasons. I think we're sitting around B. I think he's definitely above the rest of these other vanguards, which is honestly crazy because we used to always talk about how bad Thor was. It's crazy how some changes make this character good. I mean, B is like, he can be played. Sometimes he's good in scenarios, sometimes he's bad in scenarios. He's middle of the lane. Venom, also kind of the same idea right now. B tier, triple strategist is so apparent. Yeah, the changes to his ultimates were very nice. But again, it's just all the duelists that are super strong right now are super high burst duelists, and this easily shreds a lot of these characters here. Also, you also have Elsa Bloodstone, whose ultimate just kills everybody, so it's really hard for a lot of vanguards to get a ton of value. That being said, we move on to Thing. I think Thing is C. I think he's good situationally. He's super situational dependent. If they're playing dive or anything, pretty good pickup. But if they're playing characters like Elsa, Phoenix, Hela, Hawkeye, all these characters that just pump a ton of damage, the characters that don't have, normal big shields, like Magneto or Strange, are going to be getting dominated a lot by these characters that just pump damage. You have to think, Hawkeye, Phoenix, Hela, Angela, all these hit scan characters. Hawkeye, hit scan, debatable, but these hit scan characters that just pump damage. And when you don't have a main shield, like a Magneto or Strange, you just soak up so much damage. That's why certain characters are being put down in tiers, because Thor doesn't shield himself. Venom, yeah, he has his symbiotic resilience, isn't a big game changer. Thing, it just gets pumped with damage. Penny gets pumped with damage. Hulk gets pumped with damage. Captain America gets pumped with damage. Yeah, he has his shield, but it's not that big of a shield in comparison to Mag. And I guess Groot with his walls. You get the picture, hopefully. That is why these Vanguards are lower down on the list. Then we go ahead and move on to Emma. Emma is S still in my eyes. The character is unbelievably good. I mean, you could debate A, which I think is fine. Yeah, it's fine. Probably because I added Biss, my list feels a little bit off, but that's whatever. Emma's always going to be good no matter what. I feel like another necessary evil character. Angela and Rogue. I think Rogue is A. Rogue could be B, maybe. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna do this. I kind of like this. Yeah, I like that. Angela S, and then I put Emma A, but you can like swap between these two. She is A or S in my eyes. Either or. Very good character, Emma. Like, still super strong. And again, in my tier list, left to right order does not matter to me. Hopefully you know by now. You get the picture. But I think, like, Emma can be swapped between S and A. Like, she's very good, no matter what, in a lot of situations. Is this the issue of Groot? Groot is such a high prio character that if Emma's ulting, Groot can wall up and just negate her ultimate. You can also trap her after she uses Diamond Form and comes out of it. She doesn't have to escape anymore. So I think she is countered pretty heavily by Groot. I think Angela is a big disruptor Vanguard that is just so good. Like, Emma is like SA, like in between the two, like A plus, S minus. I don't know, it's hard to say. I think this is fine. We can change it later on. And then I think Tank Deadpool, definitely sitting in the S category. Arguably Biss, for sure. Definitely a strong Vanguard if you know what you're doing. The character does require understanding of how the game is played and how it works. But if you understand that, the character just completely and utterly dominates everything. So that is what we're looking for the Vanguards for Season 6.5, in my opinion. So moving on to our Duelists. Black Panther and Black Widow are sitting at the D tier category. I think Black Widow is like a D tier and pretty much every single elo, but an S tier and super high elo because the character is like actually insanely strong. The thing is, the character is one of those characters that demands a lot of resources, particularly from a Mantis, just to be damage boosted perma. You get the idea. A Great Widow can take over the lobby with a Mantis. When you don't have that Mantis, or you're not the best at playing Widow, the character becomes pretty unplayable and unusable. But in the right hands, the character is extremely dominant. That's why you put her at the D tier, because we're trying to incorporate all of the ranks kind of into this still from a higher elo perspective. So like there is leeway where this character looks D in some eyes, but in some hands is S tier. Pretty much, in my opinion, every single character in this game can look like an S tier character in the right hands, but that's the key word, in the right hands. Because someone that might not be the best person at a character, it's going to look awful. A person like Zelek, for example, on Widow, looks insane on the character, and the character looks completely broken. That's why there's a lot of different opinions in this game. But that's besides the point. Moving on, we come to Honkai and Hela. Even with the recent nerfs they did, I think the characters still remain absolutely dominant. I think we're looking at like AS. I'm gonna put Hawkeye A, put Hela S. I think that's fine. Iron Fist. Iron Fist is an interesting one. I don't know why I said it like that. I think we're gonna put Iron Fist B. That's fine. I'm gonna put Iron Man D. I don't think Iron Man's good. The last time Iron Man was good was when he had Gamma, and I don't think he is really ever going to see that level of play until he gets Gamma back or something equivalent to that. So we're going to be sitting him on the D tier, unfortunately. Even though he's really fun to play. His tracking when he does his Gamma charge or whatever the armor overdrive ability is still really fun to do. But I just like, I wish his character got a little bit of love. But anyways, about that, we go to Magic. I think Magic, setting B tier, personally. I think B tier is pretty good. Moon Knight's like A. AS. Yeah. Then we go to Namor. The thing about Namor is with Hela, Namor looks like an S tier character. Without Hela, he looks like an A-ish character, especially with Groot in the play. With Groot in the game, Namor looks like a S tier as well. But it's just you need two characters, or you need one of the two to make the character truly shine. Without it, I think he's alright, so I'm just going to be setting him around the A tier category. Now, Psylocke. I still think Psylocke is very good, but I do think some of the recent changes have definitely hurt her significantly. But I think we're still going to be looking at A or even B tier. Scarlet Witch is D tier. Spider-Man, I think it can be B tier and maybe even possibly A tier. So sitting in between the two, I think is fine. Let's set him for B for now. Squirrel Girl, C. I think it's fine. Star-Lord, A. The thing is with Star-Lord is that he needs a triple strategist lineup. You have to ban 4 Star-Lord to get a ton of value out of the character. I feel like that's always been the case with the character. But that's just me. Storm. The recent buffs were nice, so I think Storm is around B tier, and I think Punisher is also around B tier. I think Winter Soldier is A with Wolverine. I think Mr. Fantastic is sitting around the C tier category. I think Phoenix is S. Blade is going to be probably sitting around the D tier in my eyes. Human Torch probably sitting around the C tier. Then we move on to Daredevil. I think Daredevil is probably sitting around S, and I think Elsa is still BIS even after the recent nerfs in terms of our Duelist. And then I guess DPS Deadpool. I think DPS Deadpool is sitting around like B-ish territory, like hovering here, BA. So we're gonna put him like here as our pseudo duelist. But this is like our duelist category complete. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Again, You're perfectly fine to have a different opinion. Nothing wrong with it. Just let me know what you think in the comments down below. Moving on to strategist. I think Adam Warlock sets B tier. Cloak and Dagger. I think we're looking at A. Jeff, to me, is sitting around C tier. Loki is sitting on S tier. Luna is definitely hovering A-B territory. It's just like you have Invisible Woman, you have Gambit, you have Loki, you have Mantis. Maybe B. Arguably A, which is fine. Mantis. Mantis in my eyes is A. Rocket is probably A. Invis is S. Gambit is Bis. Ultron, definitely sitting on the lower end in my eyes. I think there still is a lot of potential for Ultron to get a ton of value, but I just think the recent changes have definitely hurt this character's impact a lot. And it's crazy how much over all of the seasons of Marvel Rivals, it's crazy how a lot of the under S tier category characters kind of shift between, but like S and like Bis characters don't ever really change, which is like the trend I see. So I hope in the future, like come season 7, they really go hard on the balance change that will make characters actually feel good. I wouldn't mind some of the characters getting reworked and changed, like Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Squirrel Girl, Iron Man, and so on, just so that they get to see more play and have more versatility and utility. But at the end of the day, this is kind of what I'm looking at for the season 6.5 tier list for me. Like I said, perfectly fine to have a different opinion. If so, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts because I just love talking to my community. So again, let me know. But anyways, I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.